Well, guys, we're back. You know what this means when you hear that music, don't you? Another day to prove somebody else wrong. And don't take it personal if you can't. You just got to do what you do. Man. Yep, yeah. Take this out one time. We already know. Welcome back to the Apex Podcast. For somebody new listening, I appreciate you. For somebody old listening, I appreciate you. So just know I appreciate everybody listening, tuning in, subscribing, whatever. Just good conversation, getting with good folks. So today, y'all going to be shocked who we got today. So let me turn this music off, man. Accurate. Thank you again, brother. Can't thank you enough. Let's turn that down one time. There it is. So today's guest, man, I've been watching this person for a minute. They've been watching me for a minute. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? I done seen them at a few of my classes. It was a golf course one night. It was dark. I was cutting hair with a spotlight on from Home Depot. I was just doing my stuff. But the hunger inside of this person is amazing. To see this hunger, to see this drive. And so I'm going to stop teasing y'all. And you already know what we do over here. We always give people a hand clap in. So let me introduce y'all to Patty, Patricia. Some of y'all might just know her as Queen of the South. So let's give her a big Apex welcome. And there it is. Lady, what's up?
Hey, love.
Man, how are you doing today?
I'm so well. I'm so well today. Thank you for having me on here. I'm super excited.
Man, I'm excited too because you've been a fan of mine and a supporter of mine. And I've been a fan of yours and a supporter of yours. And it's amazing to see your growth. Like to see you go from where you was at when I first met you at the golf course with the wife. We was out there chilling, making wine out of grapes, you know what I mean, when it was floodlights and nothing else, you know what I mean? But we made it happen. And then to see you at the hair show last year, that was like a proud moment for me to see it, like, because I know that journey you went on, you know what I mean? Because I was in that same journey. So to see it, I was like, yo, there it is. Now is that time. Now she's about to wake the world up even more so, because your talent speaks very, very loud. But I think your humble spirit, your personality, and your will to always give back. And what I mean by that is that Stephanie, Bombshell Barber, her nieces like love you, right? And so since they love you so much, you were at the show and Steph was like, I'm gonna ask Patty, was she? I was like, yeah, just go up to her and ask her. And the reason why I could just say, yo, go do that is because I know the cloth that you're cut from, because I seen it. And so I'm like, yo, somebody like that is going to automatically stop what they're doing and give that person a time so that they can, you know, help them out, because you got a giving heart, you know. And so that's what you did. And I was like, yep, I told you I was right, but keep moving. So there goes the little backstory of how I done watched and seen your things come to life, and respect the hell out of you for what you do, because I can't do what you do.
I so appreciate that. You don't even know how much that means, especially coming from you, you know, like you have been such an inspiration and motivation, like not just in my career, but like as a person, you know, the energy that you put out, the amount that you put yourself out there to help people and to be present for folks, you know. And I mean, like, really, it's just me trying to live in that light as well, because I find that is like the basis of like our existence is helping one another, you know, and putting out positive energy. And it's like, if I'm able to excel and level up, you know, I want to be able to help as many who want to do the work to level up, to come up too, you know, like I want to be able to help whoever I can who wants to help themselves, while also showing that it's like I was nothing, you know, like, right. I mean, it was just work and the will to not give up. But so many of us have that will, you know, like so many of us are cut from that same cloth of being resilient and not giving up and being hungry and having drive and determination and just a spirit that doesn't get broken. And you embody that. So I'm so grateful to have had you as like somebody that I look up to. So, and you've been so good to me too, which is, man, especially nowadays, man, sometimes people's energy is just so weird.
Man, look, you see, look, hold on, I'm gonna move out the way so you can see behind me what I got going. I always keep a vibe back there. You see that?
I'm saying, look.
I got the diffuser, the Young Living oils going, burning every day in my office just because, man, you got to always have that good energy, that good vibe. And yo, I just added that piece to the room, and I was like, yo, now I feel like my office is almost there.
Oh yeah, I agree. I have one right here sitting at the edge of the table that I'm at right now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That vibe. You gotta catch the vibes. Well, man, let's get into it a little bit. We done caught up. That was our catch up moment. Now we're gonna take it back and then catch back up.
Okay.
All right. All right. So, like I said, this Queen of the South, Patty, the last Queen of the South that I knew, I seen her on Netflix. So tell me, how did you come up with the name Queen of the South?
So I was just really looking for a way to express myself and be able to embody how I express myself, while also having people remember me, like I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to be something that people walked away from and remembered later. And being from Texas too, Queen of the South, it's like, and I cut, I color, I braid, and I just felt like it was a true embodiment of the energy that I was trying to put out. And it's just really catchy, and it's a great show, and she's a
she ran
badass.
the house. Yeah, she ran it. She ran it, and that's what I love too, because of the fact that you didn't put yourself in a box and tell everybody like, yo, I'm a barber or I'm a braider. I'm the Queen of the South. So whatever, like on the chessboard, the queen can do anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's what that name stood out to me about. Is like I could pretty much do anything. Just give me the opportunity to move on this board of life, and I can run this chessboard.
That's so funny. I feel like you found more accurate words to describe the way that I felt, because that is like for real, because that's legitimately, and like on more than a level of hair also, I've always felt like, not always, but much more recently, like in my growth, I've felt like almost like it's like I have like a duty to be able to like spread positivity and like love, and I feel like it takes a certain type of individual to pull themselves out of truly dark situations and times, and to be able to surpass that and grow into something so much more. So yeah, like Queen of the South is truly, and it's not to try to sound like big-headed or anything, but it's how I felt, from where I've come and what I've surpassed and what I'm capable of and where I'm going. The hunger that I have that still drives me to push so much more forward, because I never thought, like the life that I'm living now, my current present, my reality, I never even dreamed that my life could be like this. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even have that type of vision in my mind. I more so lived a life of like survival. It wasn't more a life of like planning these things. So it was the growth in myself, my career, and my mindset, because my mind has changed so significantly as well.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Because like watching you over time, I can see that transformation happen. Some people can feel it in them. Some people can see it in others. I'm in a weird spot. Like for me, I'm sitting back and I'm like, yo, I feel this transformation happening. And at some point, you got to start listening to your transformation. That's your center telling you this is where you need to go. And
And
in
you're
order,
aligning. And
yeah,
it's like, don't fight the alignment, because you're
man,
blocking your own growth and blessings. And it's like, that's how I felt. And it's like, when I was able to consciously be aware of it and accept it, I feel like, this might even sound like corny or whatever, but I feel like that's
I'm
when
sure it's
my
gonna
life
sound corny.
started to transcend into something so much more like beautiful and powerful. And I was so much more aware of my own energy and how much my energy could affect others, and in turn how their energy could affect the people that they're around, like a domino effect, like a ripple effect.
Yeah,
Because I feel like so many of us go through life and we've adopted this notion that like we're just one individual person, and that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. We don't really make this huge difference. But I think it's all about the perception and what a huge difference is,
mm-hmm.
you know, because you don't have to have thousands of people, like, oh, and I changed my life because of this person. And that, like, that's not what it's about. It's about putting out energy, to like positive and loving energy, to be able to affect the people immediately around you in a positive way, in hopes that they do the same thing to their immediate circle, or maybe even just a stranger you pass on the street. And it just continues. And then we make huge changes being one person,
Right. You make that
and
shift.
we have to stay conscious. And yeah.
You gotta stay, and that puts the true meaning to stay woke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so like let's talk about those dark times if you comfortable, because I feel like some people don't understand. Like, we're human, man. We all go through things, and in order for people to change, sometimes they just got to hear from somebody else of some of the shit that they went through. And I don't hide. My mom told me successful people are not afraid to tell their story. You know what I mean? And I think we're all successful at something. So why not tell those stories? So let's touch bases a little bit on the dark past of Patty, not Queen of the South. Before you got Queen of the South, let's talk about Patty. Like, what were some of those dark elements that you had to face and overcome, and that you might still be facing and still trying to overcome? So let's talk about that a little bit. What you got for me there?
Oh, I mean, I could take you into the whole book of shadows.
I like that, the Book of Shadows.
But we don't have that much time, so I'll touch on some of, I guess you could call, like the bigger.
Let's
Like,
talk about the impactful shadows that will help somebody else get out of their shadow.
So I think not just in our industry, but in life in general nowadays. I was locked up for a while. I got into trouble pretty early. I moved back to I was born here in the United States, and I moved back here when I was 13, about to be 14. And I was still real naive, like a good girl, like I did a couple things here and there in Mexico, but it was a different culture. So it was viewed differently. I wasn't like rebellious or like none of that. But I'd moved a lot as a kid, and like kind of didn't have friends. There wasn't a lot of stability in my life, right? So in coming back to the United States, still not a lot of stability in my life. I just was looking for friends. I was looking to be accepted. I was trying to feel like a part of something, after feeling so alone for so long, especially young, like it's confusing. Like this is life, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you have all these emotions you don't understand because you're young and going through things, and like, so I started, just trying to fit in. So it's like, oh, if the friends go fight, well, yo, I'm down, because if you're down, then it's like you're reciprocated by your friends. Like, oh, they're down, yo, you gotta like make sure that they ride, they chill, so I felt like a part of
Right.
something. And so then that went hand in hand with, getting into drugs pretty early, which actually led me to being sent to a lockdown facility rehab in Liverkin, Utah when I was 16 for 18 months. And then when I came home, I was home for, it was like 2.5, 3 months. And I was arrested for the first time as an adult right before my 18th birthday.
Damn.
And that just started the revolving door of what being institutionalized truly means.
Well, let's pause right there for a second. That word institutionalized, I don't think some people get that, and especially in our climate right now, how a system is not necessarily always built to rehabilitate, but more so to institutionalize.
Yes.
All right, bet.
So I was introduced to that term pretty early on, being sent to this lockdown facility rehab. It was in Liverpool, Utah. It was they were shut down later on for things linked to child abuse. I mean, just a quick rundown of what that was like, you know, like when we got to the right phase, we were allowed 5-minute showers instead of 3-minute showers, you know, and we weren't allowed to have our shoelaces back until we got out of orange, which was a different level. We weren't allowed to talk to the boys. And if we did, we dropped all the way back down. The highest level was 6. We would drop all the way down. We weren't allowed to touch one another. We weren't allowed to sing songs. We weren't allowed to write down song lyrics. We weren't allowed to send letters to anybody aside from our parents, as long as it was still approved. All of our phone calls were only to our parents, and that was in front of a therapist. So we were groomed, and you know, if we did anything that was wrong like that, like there was serious repercussions. We would be taken to like this thing called it just left me. It's like segregation, pretty much. It's called intervention. That's what it's called.
I like that show, by the way.
Yeah, it was called intervention, and they would like take your shoes and take your sweater, and it was like 60 degrees in there, and it was just like a window in the door, and it was a room with no window, and just like a drain in the middle.
So you know, it drive you crazy.
Yeah, and you know that we were kids. Like I think the youngest girl there was like 11. You know, and so you start having young kids experience this, and this is the same thing in juveniles, and in kids who are in foster cares even go through such similar things. You know, you start becoming programmed to accept certain things, and also your survival skills start kicking in. And you either learn to adapt or you are just blatantly defiant. And you can go one of two ways. And people do that, you know, but it's all a fight or flight mechanism that happens, you know. And so, yeah, so I experienced that really early on, as I'm sure many people did. I was one of the ones who adapted. And I figured out what it was I had to do to get out of that circumstance, and I did it very well, with the intention of getting the hell out of there. Right. You know, like I was like, oh, word? I'm not going home? Oh, but I gotta do this, and this? Okay, cool. All right, like watch me, because I'm going home, you know? And so that's kind of where, I guess you could almost say, like my drive in life kind of started, you know, because 18 months at 16 years old is a really long time.
Yeah, even at 30, that's a long time.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and you start wondering, like, if what you remembered reality being was really real. You know, you start wondering if, like, man, did that really happen? You know, did that actually happen, or have I been gone so long that like I think it happened, but it didn't, you know? So you start questioning yourself on things, you know, and then like so many freedoms are taken away. So the idea of those freedoms being so mundane in the free world is it almost isn't real anymore, you know? So I graduated from that program at 18, and I came home, and I think it was pretty apparent that we were set up for failure just in how the majority of us acted when we came home. And for me, that looked like going to jail.
Right.
So I was arrested. It was like a month before my 18th birthday. And but before I go into that, let me say I became comfortable with the structure that being institutionalized gave me.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, in that transition point from juvenile to adult, was it the fact that you struggled with the fact that you woke up every day for 18 months with somebody telling you when to go eat, when to shower, how to walk, how to talk, what to do. And then when you get out, you don't have that. And so now you're kind of lost, and you're like, a fear factor kind of kicks in. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what to do. And they don't build you to know what you're doing when you come home. So they tell you, or at least this has been my experience, they tell you how terrible you are and all these messed up things you've done and how non-working it's been and how it's never going to get you anywhere and you're a loser and this and that, and they just tear you down. But then that you're tore down and you're at your most vulnerable, they do nothing to help build you back up in a sense that you can go out and be successful on your own. And I just think that that's such, it's like cruel.
Yeah. And then they're keeping you in cruel conditions.
Yeah. You know, so, and especially because so many of us that end up in these situations or being in trouble, we come from very unstable situations, unstable lifestyles, unstable families. So as crazy as it sounds, the stability of structure is comforting. You know, or at least for me it was. I was comforted by the structure. I knew at this time I had to do this, and at this time I had to do this, and at this time I was eating, and at this time I was in bed. And I that gave me a sense of comfort because I felt like I had control over my life in such a time that I was so chaotic.
Yeah.
So coming out into the world, and I'm 17, you know, and my pops at the time, you know, we have a great relationship now. I'm so grateful for not just him as a father, but him as just an energy, a light, an individual, you know. But at that time, we didn't have a good relationship. And, you know, he just didn't really understand either. So he didn't want me coming back to Austin. So I had gotten into the University of Houston downtown. So instead of coming home after those 18 months to Austin, which is what I had in my mind, that's what was pushing me to come home. Yeah. I was going to come home to my city, to where I had friends, to where I knew people, to my real life. But he was like, nah, we're not doing that. So instead of coming home to Austin, I came home to Houston, where I knew nobody. I had no support. Wow. And I was starting college. Now, I was in school in Cross Creek, but it was school that you teach yourself. You read the books and you take little ABC question tests. And that's how and that's how I got my high school diploma. I went through 3 years in like a year and a half through a book, you know? So I come home to the real world. I don't have any support. I don't know anyone. I don't really know anything about life anymore. You know, I'm almost adult and I'm starting college. And it literally, I can't even put into words. It was the most awkward, uncomfortable. It was terrible.
I'm sure.
It was absolutely terrible. So I caught ghost Houston, and I was like, screw this, like I'm out. And I came back to Austin, and I was back in Austin for like 3 days, and that's when I was arrested. And so that started the revolving door. And it was something that I got really used to for quite a while, up until I was 24. 24 was when 24 was when I got out for the last time.
Wow. And how old are you now, just so people can understand that? I know you're not
31.
supposed to ask a woman their age, but
Okay. I'm 31.
okay. Okay. So from a teen to 24, you were incarcerated back and forth. And not until 24 did you say, yo, this shit gotta stop. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And it's just crazy, you know, because you start thinking that that's all you're good for. You know, you start thinking that there's no life outside of this life. You know, I used to think that some people were just destined for a certain kind of life. Like, I was such a victim. And I was so negative. And I just, you know, I thought that the type of life that I live now, I thought that that was something that like you read in books and you saw in movies, but people like us, that we didn't get that, you know, that wasn't like a real life thing for people like us, you know. And by us, I mean like anybody who comes from maybe a minority or from the neighborhood, or you've been, you know, incarcerated, or you've dealt with drug addiction, or whatever it may be that makes you, you know, not quite as good, you know, you kind of like the second class, you know. It's crazy to think back on as we're talking about it, like just where my mind was, you know. And yeah, I just became really comfortable with the back and forth. I would get out, and I remember the last time that I was in there, I was so blessed to plea down the time they were going to give me, and it just ended up being really positive for me. And it ended up only being 2 years. And I remember the night that they had brought me back to county, and the CO came and she told me, she was like, Plymire, pack up, your ATW. And I was like, and man, it's crazy. It kind of makes me emotional thinking about it, because I remember being so scared.
Wow.
So scared to come home. Because I was like, well, what am I coming home to? I don't even know how to live life.
Mm.
I don't know how to not come back here.
I've made all just let me go. Let me just stay. I don't want to get out.
Like, seriously. Like, let me stay with my little bunk and my couple of items that I can fit in this little bag, you know what I mean? Like, and I was scared. I was scared.
So
no, go ahead.
Like, what was that like? So you were scared, but what made that mindset flip to where now, when I talk to you and I see you, like, well, I'm blessed. Like, I'm great. Like,
yo, fear is a figment of your imagination.
Boom.
Like, real talk. We create fear, and this is just something that I've come to internalize, like, for myself as an individual. This might be different for others, but this is how I feel. We create fear to not allow us to grow any further past the point that we're in, because you can be comfortable in misery. It's easier to be comfortable in misery because it's such a low vibrating frequency. And it's just like, it's like a whirlpool. It's like once you're in, you just go and go and go. And if you can't get strong enough to pull yourself out of that whirlpool of low vibrating energy, you're just going to live there and you're going to be stagnant. And I said this earlier, nothing comes from anything being stagnant. Nothing grows from that except for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes grow in stagnant water. That's it. And what do mosquitoes do? They just suck the life out of things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if you can't continue to move forward, there is no growth. And I had a couple life events happen after being incarcerated, because being locked up wasn't the only thing.
Yeah.
Being locked up just got me to a point that because I'm real hard-headed. I'm a Taurus. I'm real stuck in my ways. It took me a while. You know, it took me a while.
My sister's a Taurus. Love you, Annie. But I know. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I knew I was tired. And for some people, that's enough. And yo, I have so much respect for that, because it really takes a lot to pull yourself out of those dark times. And it's like so much easier said than done, but like you just have to be done with like the bullshit. Like when is it enough? You know, like when do you eat enough pain? When do you put, like, when is enough of the same situation, the same misery, the same hopelessness? Just like, when is it enough? You know what I'm saying? And like for me, it was just like you get to that point that you're like, yo, like I might as well be dead. Keep
Wow.
going around with this. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be more than this. You know, like there has to be more. And like that's just what it was my own drive and my own will to like want to survive. But past survive, I wanted to thrive. But I didn't know what thriving looked like. I didn't know any of that, but I knew that I wanted something more than what I had.
Yeah. And that's
You know,
awesome. That's awesome to see it now too, because you thriving. It's not a day that I don't go by where I turn on Instagram and I see a post of you, a post from you, or a post of something that you're doing. So that's major to know that you were able to fight off all of that over time, because it took time.
yeah, you know, but I think it's important to sit with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that like, and I'm gonna say it like this, that we have to gift ourselves. And I say it in that way because we are gifting ourselves, that it's a privilege to sit with yourself and be able to come to peace with certain things and come to terms with certain things and take the blame away and take the guilt and kind of strip yourself of all of that and just kind of look at what is and look at what isn't, and just like accept that. Because if you can accept yourself, it doesn't matter who doesn't accept you or who does, you know. And that has been probably my biggest journey, is accepting myself and loving myself.
That's the hardest journey for a lot of people, and the reason why is because we see so many flaws in ourselves, and we're really hard on ourselves because of those flaws that we see, and we constantly beat ourselves to the ground. And then when somebody comes and try to help uplift us, then that person got to fight this uphill battle of someone who beat themselves down so much. So like I said, man, every time I see you, every time I talk to you, I'm gonna let you know how proud of you I am, because I know how hard it takes to have to come and come from the dirt and build yourself, go from a mud castle to a sand castle, you know what I mean? And so that's big, you know. And now let's speed this clock up a little bit.
Sorry, you just reel me back in. I'm a talker.
But yeah, no, I love it, and I think everybody else gonna love it too, because it's a side of you that, you know, most people don't get to see or get to hear. You know, so let's get into a little present moment. Like, what is something that you wish people would understand about your career?
Oh, I think I can answer that on like different levels. So, for one, my career has been my biggest blessing.
Mm.
And by that, I mean hair. And hair has been my biggest blessing, and the career kind of just followed in suit with that. It just kind of synchronized after that. The career wasn't first, it was the love of hair and the love of people and the love of making someone feel better than when they came in, because that's something that I so seriously struggled with myself, was feeling good about myself. and and I think that's why, you know, like you, which I very much appreciate you talking about me being humble, you know, and I think that's what has allowed me to remain humble, is just the understanding that without like putting love and reciprocation out and getting that back, I would have no career, none. you know. So yeah, it's been my biggest blessing, and it's given me purpose, and it's completely saved my life. On a whole different note of what I'd like people to know about my career is that obviously in braiding, you know, it's like a protective style, you know, it's like something that I guess I hear a lot of, like, oh, like barbershops in the neighborhood, or like, you know, like you, for some reason, people think that braiding you're only going to find in certain locations or with certain people, or only a specific genre of
Definitely.
people. Yes. And what I would love to challenge folks to do is, you know, take a little bit of time and actually find out for yourself where braiding comes from. You
Ooh.
know,
Uh-oh.
find out for yourself the kings and queens and the royalty that use braid to show status and power
History.
and culture and the progression of life, and it's every culture. There was braiding with the Chinese, there was braiding, you know, with in Russia, there was braiding in Africa, braiding with the Native Americans. You know, the slaves in Colombia braided actual like maps of how to get out of the plantations in Colombia. You
Wow.
know, the Native Americans believe that the hair literally represents like, so they believe that like the individual strands don't hold power but connect them to like the higher spirit, but when you braid it together it shows unity and strength.
Mm,
And
that's a good
it's
one.
like communicating that energy of like unity and strength, and just so many cultures, and the spirituality in hair as well, you know. So and the art and the level of education that goes into it, and just the beauty. There's so much more than, oh yeah, those are some fire cornrows, I
Right.
wonder what music video he's gonna be in.
Yo, I wish I could braid. My fingers don't work that way, but I'm not saying I won't learn how. I'm just saying as of right now, these mud flap hands I got, they just don't work that way.
Fingers, I got little witch fingers,
Yeah, you know,
so
I got
you
I
know.
got I got alligator hands. They just don't work that way right now. So tell how pissed do you get when people just come up to you and say, "Oh, you're just a braider"?
um I have learned to control my facial expressions not as well as my tongue. Um, but it frustrates me a little bit.
I'm
It
sure
does.
it is. That's
It
why I asked,
frustrates
because
me a little bit. Yeah.
I know, because people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're just a barber," and I'm like, "Boy, let me run some laps around you real quick about what this just barber is." You know what I mean? So I always want to know, how do other people perceive that question when they're asked, are told, you're just this?
I think that right there has been one of the motivations to do better, be better, and just shock the shit out of people. It's that right there. It's like a lot of times with things, I'll internalize them and I kind of sit with them. Like I said, I'll sit with myself. So I'll sit with those things after the fact by myself and kind of dissect them, so to speak. And it's those things that I remember, you know, or like when I have the opportunity to do a service that maybe I'm not great at, or I haven't done a lot of, or I haven't done, period. You know, like I'll think about those things or things that people have said, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm for sure doing that. And so it pushes me to be like, oh yeah, just a braider, cool,
Right.
cool.
Well, you wicked at braiding. So if since you said you got witch fingers, I'm gonna call them wicked witch of the South fingers, because
See, I'm with it. I like it.
them things is some of the stuff that you showcase inside of your art form, which is just a small portion. because you are a braider, you are a barber, you are everything.
And
So
I'm proud to be a braider. Let
yeah,
me say that as well. I'm proud to be a braider.
and I see that because it shows in your art form. So to see how proud you are and it expresses through your art, like, you know, for me, people see how proud I am to be a barber, but then now they're starting to also see how proud I am to help others and how to push others and motivate others. I don't just motivate the Popular Nobody family. I motivate the world. You could look on my Instagram because the world need people like us and others to continue to make this place smile a little bit. You know what I mean? So what is that one word that describes Patty?
Look, I'm gonna tell you three that just really resonated with me is resilience, love, and light.
Resilient, love, and light. Okay, explain the light part because I you know I don't like light soft drinks. I don't like light, you know. So some people can take light as a negative. So I want you to shed the light on the positive.
So for me, the light is gratitude.
There it is.
The light is the blessing of breathing. It is the ability to sit here and talk to you right now and be filled with gratitude that I have the opportunity not just to actually speak to you, but I have the opportunity to sit here, to still be breathing, to still be living. Because you know, I say this a lot and I'll continue to say, you don't know how bright the light can be if you don't know how dark the darkness can be.
Mm.
You just have no clue.
I hope
Because
somebody took a note and wrote that down when they listen to this. They're gonna rewind that part and be like, "Ooh, girl, you heard what Patty said? It
but
was at the
it's
12-minute mark."
but you know, I truly feel like if we're able to find the light in ourselves and be open enough to share that with others,
Definitely.
there's nothing more important, I think. And I would like to think that I consciously go out of my way to share my light with others, hoping that a bit of my light can help feed their flickering light.
Yeah. I like how you put that your light could help the flickering light. Because most of the time, think about it, when we work in shops and those old school long fluorescent light bulbs, they start flickering. Sometimes they just got out of place. And you just got to go in and turn it just a little bit and then that light shines back bright. So I love how you put that visual together because that's all it is. Sometimes we with the stronger, brighter lights that kind of have already went through those things and come back to, we got to twist them light bulbs on other people a little bit to bring their light out because sometimes they never even hear how great they are from other people, you know. And that's, to me, I think I'm blessed with a bunch of people around me that tell me how great I am. They don't let me live in my negatives. They always push my positives. I think so many of us get beat up on our negatives that we just need the people to push our positive, and it's called a pack. Get you a little pack. All you need is three
It's a
people.
little wolf pack.
Yeah, get your little wolf pack and let them push your positives instead of pushing your negatives. So since we talking about wolf packs and you know how you describe you, what's the last gift you gave somebody?
Oh, yo. I think currently in this present moment it was stones. A little bag of stones and palo santo, and I sent 2 do-rags with that. Yeah.
Of course, a do rag. Right. That's what's up. Okay, so now I got something for you. Uh, what was the weirdest smell you ever smelled?
Oh, I don't even remember what I gave you on that, but I've smelled some really awkward smells. Um,
It was sage. Was it sage?
I mean, sage was awkward at first, but I love it now. Um, yeah, no, but sage kind of sucked in the beginning before I was open.
Sulfur.
There you go. Egg, egg. Because okay, so look, there's this highway in Mexico, right? That when
Uh,
you're driving by and you have the windows down, and it's kind of like, it's not like the mountains, but there's like mountain-ish things like around you. And for like 3 miles straight, all you smell is rotten eggs. And so as a kid, I didn't know that it was sulfur. And I thought it was the I still think it's the nastiest thing. So yeah, but yeah, yeah.
all right. See, I was laughing because
I'm like, you mind, how do you say, like, you made me
I
remember
was
on
in
that.
there. I
I
was
was like,
chilling.
whoa, I like got drop kicked with that one.
So a while back, one of my things is I love watching interviews. And when COVID first hit, Instagram Live was booming. Like every night, it was like,
Oh yeah.
it was like live after live after live after live, right? And so I stumbled across your live with Lee from Barbershop Connect. Shout out to Lee for giving barbers a great platform and opportunity. You know what I mean? And so you just won a trophy too, right?
Yes, I did.
Man, congratulations on that. You and the family Lisi, man. Congratulations
Yes,
to the
congrats to her as well. It was really it was awesome. It was dope, especially like two women from Texas.
right
Like really, it
with
felt really good.
with a Hispanic background.
Yes.
That's we gotta give it up for the fact that y'all both were women, but then also for the fact that y'all both represent brown. You know what I mean? And that's positive. But I caught the interview, and I skipped over a lot of people interviews, but I sat back and I listened to yours. And one of the things that I caught, and I knew it caught you off guard when I talked to you before, is that I know where your inspiration come from.
Yeah.
I,
Off guard.
yeah. I caught you way off guard with it because I knew it. And your inspiration comes from a place that most people wouldn't even think of, or possibly some people may have even thought about this as an inspiration. So I'm gonna let you speak on that. Like, where did that stained glass window, like, how did that pull creativity out of you?
So living in Mexico, I mean, there's just so much art, like culturally, but culturally, something that we have a lot of are churches, cathedrals, just really extravagant, beautiful cathedrals. And they have stained glass and gold and statues. And for me, like, stained glass was beautiful in all forms, like in its essence, like the way the sun hit the colors and the way the colors were separated by lines, and how, symmetrically these lines played such important parts to create the all over final result, and just like the beauty in it. And there was something in like my mind trying to decipher that like glass and the way things were, that like almost brought me peace, that I really liked. I was like, oh, yo, like that's, man, And so like the way my mind thinks in a lot of situations that are like artistic is like how to break things up. And funny enough, that's like what the stained glass did for me. It gave me a way to break things up in my mind that, if you think about it, that's almost similar to like the braids, like how you would break things up in lines to form something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like that challenge too. And plus I spent a lot of time in church in Mexico.
That's what's up.
So yeah.
Now, if you could interview yourself, what would you ask you?
Oh.
Stump the chump. God,
yeah. I'm like, man, never really thought about interviewing myself.
And the reason why I ask this, because I get interviews all the time, and I'll be like, yo, can y'all not listen to the one I did last week and ask the same exact questions this week? Like,
yeah.
Can you give me? And I think it's frustrating, but really, what question would you ask yourself? And like sometimes you got, and this is like one of those things where it's like, that is a hard question because you
No,
don't.
it is. But I like it. I like it. And it's like intriguing because I've never really sat and thought about that. Man, I think I would just ask myself, like, I'm like, I don't, man,
You know
I
what
don't
I'm
even
actually,
know.
because I
What?
think everybody needs to ask themselves this: are you happy?
Yeah, that's such a good, yes. I am happy.
And
I am very happy.
I think that's one question in life that we always need to look at ourselves and ask ourselves: are we happy? Because if we're not, we're the only person that can change that. And so,
Oh, I so agree with that. And only we know how to find what aligns with us. You
right,
know, like nobody has the answers for that. And, you know, I think it would be important. I'm like going back and really thinking about it after you saying that. I think that I would just want to like ask myself just a quick kind of rundown of like me as a person, because I would love to know quick rundowns about other people as people, you know, not even so much hair or the brand or just you
yeah,
know, like just let me know real quick. Give me like 2 minutes of just you. I don't care. Word vomit. Like I'm a cat lady, you know, like just something that like I feel like making real connections with people is important. And you can't make true connections if you just ask surface level things or things that you like that have already been expressed.
right, right. And to me, you go back and listen to any interview. That's one question that you never really hear. Are
No,
you
it's
happy?
a great question though,
Yeah.
because nothing else matters if you're not happy.
So now I can't even use that question on nobody else. Now that one I got to scratch off the
It's
podcast
done.
list.
Yo, but that was like a boom moment. Yo,
that was
you got
that was
me
a
with
mic
that.
drop moment.
Yeah, for real.
Bam. All right. So just looking at it, I think we covered a lot. We covered who you are, where you come from, your back history, your inspiration. We got people to understand that you're more than just a braider. You're actually a human being with an amazing skill set. That's an art form that ties to so many other art forms. Um, we you know, you're Hispanic. So what's your favorite food? What's that one dish that you just be like, yo, I need that one?
Man, okay, so that one's hard because 2.5 years ago I gave up red meat, white meat,
Welcome to the
everything.
party.
I'll occasionally have fish, occasionally here and there. But you know, being Mexican, most
That's
of our
unheard of.
yeah, like most of our dishes are meat, you know, like carnitas, barbacoa, tacos, just in essence, tacos. How you gonna have a taco? You don't have meat, you know.
Potato.
Menudo was my favorite, and I think back to that now, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I did that, but it was I loved it, you know. So they have this little vegan Mexican restaurant down the street from my house, and believe it or not, they make fantastic vegan Mexican food. Now, maybe I'm a little biased because I haven't had like, you know, the milk and cheese and all of that in a while now, you know, but I mean, I'm still a sucker for Latin food.
Yo, I can't give up. I can't give up a good street taco. I'm gonna do that. I'm not an enchilada. I'm
But the
not doing it.
beautiful thing is that there's avocados, and avocados are phenomenal. And there's cilantro, and there's limes, and grilled onions, and all types of things that when you get used to not eating meat, it's still really good.
So is it weird that I like guacamole but I don't like avocado?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, all right. I just like my stuff with flavor. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? My bad.
Consistency thing, do you like more that it's mushed versus like
I just like
solid?
I just like all the shit that's in guacamole. I don't know. It's weird.
Avocados.
I don't know. I will not like no avocado spread on my sandwich, but definitely give me that guac at the Mexican spot.
I think that you might change your mind if you had, like, if you incorporated fresh avocado into your diet, like at home. Like if you made like fresh guacamole at home, I think you might become more inclined to try it a little bit more here and there.
Wow. You know what? Just because you told me to do it, I'm gonna try it. And if it don't work, I'm gonna call you up and say we gotta get on this podcast again, and I'm gonna tell you about yourself with this avocado.
Me about myself, and I will openly take it. But avocados are very good for you.
Man, well, Patty, I'm not gonna take too much more of your time. You know, I believe in, you know, you give people the praises, you give them their roses while they still can smell them, while they can still watch them grow, because that's the thing that we as people have to learn how to do for each other. It's not a competition. It's none of that. It's just give somebody some roses and leave the root so that they could plant it and watch their garden grow. And that's kind of what this was today. I wanted people to understand who Patty was, the Queen of the South, and more so who Patty was, because I think it's important where in these times where we built a brand off of Instagram, we built relationships and we built personalities off of Instagram, but you know those people, but you never know the person behind the name. And so I wanted to use today as an opportunity to let Patty tell the world who is Queen of the South when Instagram is gone. You know what I mean? And what inspired Patty to become Queen of the South, and why Patty does what Patty does on the everyday basis, from giving out stones and bandanas to running down the street to the vegan Mexican spot to get that good Mexican vegan food. You understand me? So tell everybody where they can find you at, and then we're gonna close it out.
Y'all can find me on Instagram at Queen of the South 512. And before closing, y'all, just remember, man, nobody is more beautiful than you. You know what I mean? It's the person you look at every day in the mirror that you should be the nicest and most loving to. And that voice in your head is the one you're going to hear more than anybody else's. So make it a nice voice. And it's all love and light, y'all. And I appreciate y'all so, so much. I appreciate you, John, tremendously.
You already know what's up.
Yeah, thank you.
You already know what's up. So, Patty, just the same way I brought you in with a clap, I'm going to send you out of here with a clap. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Apex Podcast. I want to say thank you to Patty, Queen of the South, but I'm going to just call her Patty because she's not just the Queen of the South. She actually running a lot. So, I'm going to send y'all out with this. Please, please subscribe. Listen to the next episodes. Come back and come get this good information. Come find out about people you probably know, look up to, or never heard of before. But the most important thing is they're human and they got a purpose because they wake up breathing every day. So, Patty, appreciate you, and I'm going to send you out like that. You understand? And then you know we don't leave without giving y'all that good old prove them wrong every minute of the hour.